4-pill 2879C. This one was a customer order here, and just took the plastic off of it. Going to test it real quick with our RCI X9 that we've got set up here. Just got done testing a straight 8 HG 2879 Carl built with it. So we're just going to pick up where we left off and test this guy out before we get ready to ship it up. Test this guy out before we get ready to ship it out, I should say. This radio doesn't do a whole heck of a lot average power on sideband. I think the way it's set up, it's only doing like 30, 35 average. The PEP is about 150. On AM, the PEP is about 160, and the average is about 50 watts or so average power. So keep that in mind for the video. We are going to be under driving it some. It all depends how hard you want to drive one of these versus how many volts you're hitting it with. Now, we're at 15.1. That'll probably drop down a little bit. A lot of people are running these amps at 16 to 16 and a half volts. Now, that being said, if you're running that hot, I definitely wouldn't put over 200 watts PEP into them. But running down here around 15 volts, I mean, I've seen on AM people put 225, 250 PEP and be just fine. But again, that's at the lower voltage. You start cranking up the voltage on one of these, 16 volts, 16.5, and you start driving, 250 watts, 225 watts into it, you're asking for trouble. So just keep that in mind. It's just a very loose reference video of the, relative outputs you can see out of one of these. Just making sure that it works, keys up, doesn't hang up, and everything else before we ship it out to the customer. So a shout out to this customer, been very patient. I don't think they've even asked me about their order one time since paying, so I always appreciate that, and appreciate your patience there. So with that being said, we'll test this one out, and we'll start out just on AM. We're just going to get our dead key set here real quick. We've still got our 2500 watt slug in. I was going to put 1000 in, but whatever. We've still got the 2500 from the last video. So we're looking at the top scale. So that hash mark, the big hash mark before 5 is going to be 250. And we're going to start dead key around 150 watts. So that's probably 150, 175 on a dead key there. And here's your average power. And it's showing about 500 average on a 2500 watt slug. Now, with that said, if you put it on 1000 watt slug, it may show a little more, it may show a little less, because we're not really, we're not dead on with the slug we're using. We could use 1000 and probably be a little bit more accurate, but showing a little over 500 there. And that's, showing the current draw, 80 amps. And it's dropping down to 14.8. So, again, our power supply might be getting a little tired on us over here. But 14.8 is what we're actually running at when we're speaking into it. Again, we're putting about 50 watts average in, 160 or so PEP. And speaking of PEP, let's check the output there. See how it does. Still looking at the top scale. Check. Audio. And I'd say that's about 900 or so watts PEP. Now, consider putting about 150, 160 in. That's probably pretty fair rating on it. It's doing a little bit more average power wise than it is PEP ratio wise. Some amps will do a little bit more average. Some will do a little more PEP. Some will do 400 average, and they'll do 900 to 1,000 PEP. You have one doing 500 average, you're generally going to lose just a little bit of that PEP power. It just depends on how the box was built and how it was tuned. This one seems to be showing a little bit heavier on the average power side. So we'll go to sideband. Again, guys, don't expect a lot. This radio does not do a lot of power on sideband. We can just turn the RF power wide open on it here.
Hello, check. Audio. Hello.
Just showing you that the sideband delay does work. PEP on sideband.
Check. Audio 1, 2, 3. Audio 1, 2. Audio 1, 2. Audio.
About 800 or so PEP. And then again, this radio is only doing about 30 or so average on sideband. So this will be your average power output.
Hello.
about 300 or so, where it was showing about 500 on AM. And that's obviously going to reflect in our current draw here.
Audio.
It jumps up to 75 depending on the voice tone we're using. Whereas on AM, it was showing 500 average, and it was drawing, 85 amps or so. So anyway, that's it. 4-pill 2879C with sideband. My personal recommendation on these, I would stay between 15.5 and 16. Probably run 175 to 200 watts PEP into it. Watch your average power on sideband because it can get away from you. If a radio's been tuned, peaked, optimized, sometimes they'll do a bunch of average power on sideband and you don't even realize it. And, you got your amp sitting here drawing 110 amps on sideband because it's working itself to death in average. Like you guys kind of just saw, we're showing almost the same PEP on sideband and AM, but because the average power was so much higher on AM, it's actually drawing more current on AM than it is sideband in this situation. That's not always the case with every radio. So there you guys go, customer amp, 4-pill 2879C. I always like to do a demo on these. As you guys know, amplifiers are kind of a sticky situation. You never know what's going to happen when the customer gets it, so I try to do videos on all the amps that go out of here. Not 100% on that, but always try to anyway. All right, that's it, everybody. Rooster in Tennessee, roostercb.com. I do have one 4-pill C-Box in stock right now, Fatboy. No sideband on it, and I also have a 4-pill standard for somebody wanting. I got some other Fatboys too, like a 2-drive and 8, and then I think I got some smaller ones. So lots to choose from right now. Questions, comments, shoot me a text, 423-299-3535. And as always, check out the website. New items being added daily, roostercb.com. Catch you guys out there. See you. Bye.